Our gospel reading this evening is taken from the Gospel according to Matthew. I read excerpts from the 6th chapter. If you're able, would you please stand as we receive the good news of our gospel reading. Be careful that you don't practice your religion in front of people to draw their attention. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Whenever you give to the poor, don't blow your trumpet as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, so that they may get praise from people. I assure you, that's the only reward they'll get. But when you give to the poor, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that you may give to the poor in secret. Your Father who sees what you do in secret will reward you. When you pray, don't be like hypocrites. They love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners, so that people will see them. I assure you, that's the only reward they'll get. But when you pray, go to your room, shut the door, and pray to your Father who is present in that secret place. Your Father who sees what you do in secret will reward you. And when you fast, don't put on a sad face like the hypocrites. They distort their faces so people will know they're fasting. I assure you that they will have their reward. When you fast, brush your hair and wash your face. Then you won't look like you are fasting to people, but only to your Father who is present in that secret place. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Stop collecting treasures for your own benefit on earth, where moth and rust eat them and where thieves break in and steal them. Instead, collect treasures for yourselves in heaven, where moth and rust don't eat them, and where thieves don't break in and steal them. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. May God add abundant blessing to our understanding of the good news. Please be seated. The central purpose of Lent. Let me repeat that. The central purpose of Lent is to bring us back to God. Please hear that. What we're about to do, beginning tonight for the next 40 plus days, we do so that we might come back to God. Now, in that statement, in that understanding, lie two truths of reality that I'd like to share with you before we receive our ashes. And the first is this, that every one of us gathered here tonight is estranged from God. Think about that. Every one of us here tonight are in some form or fashion estranged from God. And so we take this period of time that we call Lent to confess, to repent, to turn away from those ways that we are estranged and broken from God. We take this time to reconcile with the very Creator who created everything. This is a time, in understanding this estrangement from God, to affirm that even sometimes when we do the right things, we do them for the wrong reasons. Ouch. Prayer, wonderful thing. But Lent is a time to ask, am I doing it for the right reasons? As we give of our gifts, we need to always ask, am I doing it with a right heart and intent? Fasting. Am I doing it for the glory of God so that that estrangement will be made whole? I love the example of something we know very well in the Northeast. The example of the snowflake. Beautiful and awful. And I've been told that the snowflake is very much like you and I. That there is no snowflake like any other snowflake. Every time you see it snow, all of those snowflakes are different from one another. What a wonderful analogy of the human race. Look around. We're not alike. We're all very different. But here's the underlying truth. Each and every snowflake, while different, at its core is dust. Dust is in the very core of every snowflake. And dust, ash, sin, is at the core of each and every one of us. I liken it to be that we're all Humpty Dumpty disciples. Did you ever hear that nursery rhyme? All right, let's prove it. Here we go. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Now you got a story about how you spent your Ash Wednesday. You see, we truly are Humpty Dumpty disciples. We have had a great fall, and that fall is that dust, that sin that is at the core of our being, and we try frantically to put ourselves together again. We try everything under the sun, whether it be addictions or other behaviors, to try to make ourselves whole so that we can come to God. We still find ourselves estranged and broken. Which leads to the second reality. If the central purpose of Lent is to bring us back to God, and that is we must understand and embrace that we are estranged from each other. Friends, it is impossible to love God and despise one another. Even from the lips of Jesus, who gave the great commandment to love God with all you got and to love your neighbor as you love yourself, it is impossible to love God and despise other people. I share that tonight because I want to make sure that as we come forward to receive the sign of the cross on our foreheads in the symbol of ashes, we must be careful not to wear our ashes in vain. That we wear them symbolically for the right purpose, not as a symbol that we are any better than anyone. As a matter of fact, it's exactly the opposite. That we know that there is dust in our core. We know that we are broken. We know that we are estranged from God. Our world hungers for authentic Christian disciples who live a relevant witness. Let me repeat that. Our world is crying out for authentic Christian disciples who live a relevant witness. Yes, we can come and get ashes and put them on our forehead, come back on Easter and sing, Christ the Lord is risen today. We can do a lot of things within the Church of Jesus Christ. But we need to make sure that we are living this authentic example with our spouses, with our children, with our families, within our communities, within the workplace, and especially within our church. Let's prepare to receive the dust that is the core of our being as we recognize our estrangement from God and from each other. And the only way to overcome that estrangement is not by what we do, but rather to embrace what has been done for us.